Yoshi fans, I admit I messed up in that last video. I haven't changed my mind that Yoshi is a broken mechanic, but it was a poorly written video, so I made this as a makeup. Today, I want to talk about how the final boss of Yoshi's Island is the best SNES boss fight of all time. This might be the ultimate bait and switch final boss ever. The game is a cheery and colourful platformer with an extremely low stress environment, bubbly music, and adorable enemies. It's a game designed to be soothing and relaxing, or it would be if that baby didn't have the worst crying sound in history. But Yoshi's Island is intended as a game for a younger audience than previous Mario games. There's less of an emphasis on platforming and more on being a relaxing collectathon with a cutesy art style and relaxed gameplay. That is until you get to the final boss, Baby Bowser. The whole game has led you to think that Kamek is going to be the final boss, with him being the overarching antagonist behind every other boss fight. You'd expect Yoshi to have his own mortal enemy that separates him from Mario. But Baby Bowser quickly dispatches Kamek and proceeds to fight you in almost the same way the Koopalings did in Mario 3, which I found highly disappointing in a game that had had so many unique and creative fights, and now the big finale was just fighting a regular boss from the last game. But once you defeat Baby Bowser, the actual fight begins. Kamek returns and casts a spell on Bowser, and his shadow envelops the entire screen, which is a horrifying visual, but then as the scene transitions, that cute and cheery attitude of the game disappears as the bubbly music is replaced by an electric guitar riff that forebodes an ominous shadow on the horizon, and then Baby Bowser ascends from the depths like Godzilla, with an expression of pure hatred on his face, and it's the most intense moment in the whole game, and Yoshi's just sitting there with a dumb expression on his face, and I'm just in shock that a Nintendo game is getting this intense. It's just so blatantly unexpected, as this game is aimed at a younger audience, so for a goddamn kaiju to come rising out of the ground is just such a left turn. It's like the whole game was drawn with crayons, and then suddenly there's this dark and monstrous figure looming over us in the distance, and I can understand how some young kids could get freaked out by this. But this battle is so impressive because it was a game that took advantage of the SNES's hardware in a way that only late generation games can do. I'm not going to pretend to understand how they did this, but having this multi-layered boss fight that takes advantage of 3D spaces in a 2D game is insane. I only thought that the foreground play was something invented by the revival of 2D games in the late 2000s, but Yoshi's Island really makes use of that 3D environment, and again, it does so in the most terrifying way possible. Baby Bowser is constantly charging at you, and watching it grow closer and closer is such a dreadful feeling. Again, it comes down to the size of the character and the climactic intensity of the boss fight, in a game that in no way prepared you for this level of drama, in a game that looks deliberately like it was coloured in with crayons. Add on the fact that the ammo is so few and far between, meaning if you miss him, you have to wait for another chance to strike as he charges closer, and you have an experience that no child is prepared for. It's really the dramatic shift in scale that sells the whole thing, as the game puts up this innocent facade of Yoshi battling other small and cute-looking creatures. You're expecting a quirky final battle with Kamek to finish things off, but by zooming the action way out to encompass this enormous monster, makes it feel like the final boss of a mainline Mario game, which Yoshi's Island isn't, by the way. I don't care what the full title is. I think giving Bowser the one-hit kill move when he reaches you adds to the satisfaction of beating him, as Yoshi has never really been a powerful character, but giving him the most epic Mario boss of all time helps cement Yoshi as a core part of this franchise. While I never thought we would see that form of a kaiju like Bowser ever again, Bowser's Fury, in my opinion, is an homage to this finale, with him taking on another monstrous form that strikes terror into the heart of the player, but this time you get the catharsis of battling him as a gigantic Mario. While Yoshi's Island's final boss was certainly unexpected, I'm not sure Nintendo could replicate the shock of such a tone shift finale again, although they came pretty close with the final boss of Splatoon 3. Baby Bowser was such a climactic, cinematic, and intense all-round epic fight for a deceptively friendly game. To me, it's the best boss fight on the Super Nintendo. I'll be back in 2 days. In the meantime, here's a video about how Mario Wonder counts as an M-rated Mario game.